today. Today we're going to discuss our holiday tack plans with the upcoming holiday shopping season, as well as some success that we have seen in the last year with the new organized crime or retail crime laws that went into effect last year. So with that, today we will be talking, or you'll be hearing from Mayor Keller, Chief Harold Medina, and State Representative Marion Matthews. With that, I'll turn it over to Mayor.
All right, well, first off, we want to always, of course, enjoy the holidays. We want everyone to be safe. We want them to enjoy their family. We also know that the holidays can be tough for some folks. They may not have family and so forth. But today, we really want to focus on what we're doing to keep us safe while we are enjoying our wonderful city and our local businesses, and even things like our shopping malls. And so we know that all of that comes together in the holidays. And so as a city, we always want to try and touch on each aspect of that. And so that's why yesterday we talked about the opening of the brand new medical sobering center, which is for the first time in our history. We now have 50 beds available for folks needing treatment. Today we're going to talk a little about retail theft and crime and shopping. We're obviously going to talk about small businesses on Small Business Saturday. And I do want to mention later today, we're just going to enjoy really fun, simple stuff like lighting our Christmas tree on Civic Plaza. So with that context, let's really hone in on some of the issues that, of course, we always face every year during the holiday season, which is safety at our places of shopping and Christmas shopping and holiday shopping. Now today we're at Cottonwood Mall, which is, of course, one of our main iconic malls. And we do kind of rotate. I think we're at Cottonwood and Windrock last time, we're at Cottonwood this time. So there is an important reason why we're here though. It's because this mall is now covered, along with Coronado and ABQ Uptown and Windrock, by ShotSpotter. This is our gunshot detection. This means that if there is ever an incident here, we will know within seconds if it was a gunshot, how many gunshots, and we will be able to pinpoint where that happens within about 40 feet. So we know this is not the be-all, end-all. It does not end crime. It isn't a magical solution to solve everything. But it is a massive signal that we will most likely catch you very quickly if you try anything at one of our shopping malls. Now, this is in part because of the funding we've received from the state, so we're grateful to our governor, to our legislature, and to our city council for making these projects possible. We know that now about 21% of our city is covered under our gunshot detection program. We do want it to be 100, so we have a ways to go, but last year it was only 12%. So the big expansion right now has been our shopping malls just in time for the holiday season. Now, we also want to talk a little bit about retail theft. We know that in the past this has been one of our most problematic crime areas in the last 2 years. So coming out of the pandemic, we've seen waves of, first it was kind of home break-ins, then it went to shoplifting, and now we're actually seeing late night commercial burglary. But to focus on shoplifting, we've made a lot of progress on this. This is actually the first month where we have seen year over year shoplifting cases go down in at least 3 years. So a long ways to go. We know it's an all-time high, but for the first time, at least this month, we've turned the corner and we want that trend to continue. Now, why has that happened? All sorts of reasons. Number one, private businesses are joining us in some basic things like cameras. If you have parking, we always recommend fencing, these kinds of things. We know people shouldn't have to do that, but they help and we recommend them. We also know that we're trying to do our part with our PRT teams and with everything that APD does to make sure that we catch serial shoplifters and use the new state law that actually allows us to prosecute them. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this, but there's been 61 felony cases on this since that happened. So we are sending a massive signal that if this is how you're funding your narcotics enterprise, we are going to prosecute you for a felony. And so that's more or less, it's more complex than that, but that's essentially the case that we're making. And thanks to our detectives and even our undercover units, we're actually able to do that now. So we're going to continue doing that. That is also the message. So we have officers all over our shopping areas. And so we know on a one-off basis, people might get away with something. But if it happens time and time and again, we are going to catch you. And so our chief is going to talk more about this as well as some of our other folks. Now, I'm going to hand it over, speaking of, to our Chief of Police, Harold Medina. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for being here this afternoon. like Mayor talked about, we're going to be handing out some information that's highlighting 6 key arrests for the new legislation that allows us to add up felony cases, shoplifting cases, and create a felony. All in all, and since this legislation has gone into place, we have had 61 felony cases forwarded to the DA's office. The 6 cases that the media is going to be given is very important because all 6 of those individuals are facing 5+ years incarceration for the crimes they've committed because these have been combined. I want to thank Representative Matthews for everything she did to get that important piece of legislation forward, because if not, we'd be looking at catch and release. An individual being booked on a shoplifting or given a ticket, maybe getting a warrant later, and being released, credit time served. And we're actually getting real results because of this legislation. But I also want to talk about some of the changes we made at APD and how we've utilized these changes in what we've termed as work smarter, not harder. You know, at times we've faced criticism because of the fact that we were forcing a lot of people to report crimes over telephone report unit. It was something new. It was something that hadn't been done in the past. But I'm happy to say that our detectives are reporting that it's working extremely well. We've increased the amount of shoplifting being reported because we've made it easier. We've made it easier to upload video. And now we could use non-sworn personnel to review video to find matching suspects and combine those cases together, hand it off to a detective, which has led to these 61 felony cases that are being created. So the process is working. We're very happy that we're able to charge these 61, and that our process of forcing telephone report unit has cleared up our officers to stay proactive and is assisting us in increasing the amount of shoplifting that's being reported and making it as easy as possible. Like I said, I want to thank all of our state legislators for everything they've done for us as a police department. At the beginning of the year, we'll be taking in a brand new second helicopter that was brought to us by a combination of the state legislature, the governor, and the mayor and the city council. So there's a lot of success that we've seen in working with all of our partners in the state, the city, and making sure that they know what we need, and they've been a great asset to us. We will have officers out starting Black Friday in the morning through Christmas, as we do every year. Our focus areas will be Uptown, Coronado Mall, Windrock, Cottonwood Mall, all other shopping districts, and you will see an increase of uniformed officers, but also there'll be an increase in plainclothes officers who are there to catch individuals committing crimes. So we will continue to be proactive during this entire holiday season. We will use technology, whether it's ShotSpotter, whether it's license plate readers, or any other technology at our hands, facial recognition, to make sure that we apprehend as many people as possible when they commit these crimes. But one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle is when we started these proactive operations, the success came from the communication between businesses and our frontline officers. They developed a relationship, they worked together, they exchanged phone numbers, and they contact each other real time and let them know that somebody's here committing a crime, and our officers are able to get on it. And the last thing I just want to talk about is I just want to thank all of our detectives. They're hiding back there in plain clothes, and all of our uniformed officers, the commanders up here, the deputy commanders, for all of their hard work. Like Mayor just stated, for the first time in a long time, we're starting to see that shoplifting is going down. We're getting positive feedback from the community. You could have all the technology in the world. You could have all the systems in the world, all the relationships in the world. But if you don't have motivated officers who go out every single day, apprehend people, take them to jail, and take pride in their job, you do not get the results that we're getting in the city of Albuquerque, whether it's homicide clearance rates and the number of traffic tickets, or how shoplifting is being impacted. And each and every day, I'm grateful to each one of my officers and their families for everything that they sacrifice, and for the attitude and the work ethic that they bring to work and show that they are clearly motivated to keep this city as safe as possible. And I thank you guys all for the leadership that you provide to those officers each and every day to make sure that they know they're supported to go out and do their job. Thank you.
Representative, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. When I became a legislator about 4 or 5 years ago, the city, under a prior mayor, had decided that shoplifting would be a crime for which the person who was charged with doing it would receive a traffic ticket. And as a result of that, shoplifting grew and grew and grew in New Mexico because the officers weren't going to come out and give a traffic ticket way all, at a Walgreens miles away. And so it became obvious that the legislature needed to increase the penalties and better describe the crime of shoplifting. And the key word we used was aggregate, and we basically said, if you shoplift over a period of time, we're going to add up all the times that you shoplifted, whether or not they were in the same store, as long as they're within a certain time period. And that concept has totally changed this crime. And it allows the police and law enforcement to charge a felony instead of a misdemeanor for people who are basically making their living doing shoplifting. So I was very glad to be able to sponsor the bill, had help from both sides of the aisle in the legislature, and I think we're making a real difference, and it's only going to get better, which we all hope will be the case, but I think it will because good laws make a difference. Thank you.
Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and open up question and answer. If you could say who you're with and your name and who your question is for. I'll start this way and kind of pan over. We'll start over here. Natalie, do you have anything? Nobody? Natalie does?
Natalie Watt is here with me. So you mentioned that, how long have you had ShotSpotter in the office? How recent is it?
Yeah. Do you want to recent?
The funding for ShotSpotter at the malls was provided to the city with the state legislature in the spring of 2024. And during the course of late summer, early fall, ShotSpotter is implemented into these areas. So it's up and running in both the uptown Coronado area and the Northwest. And those were both areas that we specifically targeted to ensure that we could bring ShotSpotter to.
Natalie, specific for this one, it was September 6th. And we've announced that it's going to go in phases. And so if you need those dates that we've proposed, I can get those to you. Corey?
Ultimately, what do people do to, just remain safe throughout the holiday season, whether it's walking back to the car or anything like that?
There's lots of tips. The number one tip I could give the community is don't leave gifts and visible presents in your back seat. Each year, we have cars that people just leave their stuff in the back seat. The window will be smashed in a matter of seconds and the items grabbed and left. Very small chance of us solving because not much evidence is left. A broken window, you reach in. Sometimes you didn't even have to touch the car. The other thing is always be aware of your surroundings. Park where there's lighting. Make sure that you're careful on posting on social media because you know who your friends are, but you don't know who other people's friends are. And a lot of times people post, oh, bought all these gifts, they're under my tree. Make sure that you're in communication with your neighbors. And always look at your home as like, how can you layer it? How can you have different layers? And the best example I'll use is I have a diesel truck. It's parked in front of a gate. My police car is parked in front of my diesel truck. I have a steering wheel lock on my diesel truck. I make it as most inconvenient as possible for somebody to steal my truck. So just remember that anytime you could think of how you could layer so that criminals can't take your property, you're doing a little bit better off. Thanks.
Any other questions? Alrighty. Oh, Bella, go ahead.
Bello and Karen Huey, can you just explain a little bit more about the idea of catch and release and just kind of build upon that?
It's no secret that our officers struggle at times and that we've long stated that we wanted to make changes where we don't keep arresting the same individuals over and over. And I'm not saying that every single individual needs to stay in prison for the rest of their life. We know that's number one, not possible, and number two, it's not the right thing to do. But we do advocate that we have to continue to add and build and fund our mental health and our substance abuse programs within the state because a lot of our property crime offenders are substance abuse users and they are committing these crimes to support themselves in everyday life. And the faster we could get these individuals into resources to help them with the underlying problem, the faster we're going to impact some of the property crimes that they commit. So yes, we know it's a frustration that sometimes you arrest the same people over and over, but I think there is light at the end of the tunnel as long as we continue to work together communicate from the very highest levels of government in New Mexico to every single city, and we all get on the same page that we have to fund those programs and give families the help that they need so that they could assist their loved ones.
Gregory?
This Gregory with the Journal. What's APD doing to prepare for possible encounter with potential shoplifting?
Was it?
What is APD doing to encounter a potential shoplifter? What's the plan?
You know, the plan is simple. We have both plainclothes officers out who respond to shoplifting cases where security is taking the individual into custody, and we have undercover officers who are frequenting our shopping districts and have strong relationships with the businesses there. And there's a lot of communication between the business and the officers. A lot of times the businesses themselves will call the officers directly and say, hey, we have somebody in here who's shoplifting, this is who they are. And as soon as the individual exits the store, officers are able to take them into custody. It's unfortunate we had one of those types of incidents last year that even resulted in an officer-involved shooting. Our officers were in contact with the individuals at Cole trying to take an individual into custody when everything occurred that happened that day.
Luis?
What are some tips for local shops here, specifically like in the mall? I know it was mentioned before, if they have parking, like fence set up and stuff. What are some tips for local businesses?
Una cosa que las personas que están haciendo cosas, vendiendo cosas en Albuquerque que pueden hacer es hablar con la policía. Nosotros podemos mandar a un oficial ahí y ellos pueden agarrar su teléfono y pueden llamarlos cuando necesitos. The best thing businesses can do in this area is contact the police department, develop a relationship with us. We could dispatch an officer out, we could get a phone number, we could start that relationship building so when something's happening real time, you have somebody on the other side that you know is there that you could call and say, we have a shoplifter in the store right now. Can you guys please be aware of it? So we ask all businesses to please reach out, work with us, and communicate with us so that we could help you protect yourself. We could also give an assessment for how you could secure your business better. Like Mayor said, it's not just shoplifting. We're seeing an increase in commercial burglary while shoplifting goes down, and we could give you a safety, basically assessment of how you could secure your business better.
Any other questions? Alrighty, thank you everybody for coming.